Hi guys, Extra Talk here. We have Jelen with us. We have Alex Dieker from the States, and we have Popimento. Guys, I'm gonna be honest here. Yesterday we were talking. I sent you guys some, like topics, but it took me a while to come up with these topics to talk about because at that point we're still waiting for signings or any news regarding like really signings coming in. So far, it has been only talking about United, Arsenal wanting our players. And it's been a month almost now, and we haven't signed anyone except now we know that Wijndal is coming. So that's good news. We can start talking about that. That was not on the topics list, so we're going to throw that out. We're going to talk about Wijndal. What do you guys think of this signing? Are you guys happy? What do you guys think he adds to the team? Let's talk a little bit about our new left back signing. I will give it to Jelen first.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, of course. This is fresh news. So I think it's a really good signing. Obviously, it has been in the pipeline for some time. And I've just read that, the only issues were with the salary demands. And that's now been cleared. So that's good. I think a really good signing, especially when Tagliafico is probably going to leave, most likely. All in all, good signing. Happy.
Yeah. Popimento, what do you think of this signing? Are you happy with Wijndal? And what do you think he adds to the team?
I am happy with Wijndal because we did need something on the left back, right? So he's good, and I think he's going to be added. Yeah, left back, and he's going to be an added value for Ajax. Definitely, I think his strengths are really on the attacking side, being on the ball, giving those passes, making those runs, being active. In the last line, giving assists, crosses, etc. I think we're going to lose a little bit of grinta in the back, especially Nico leaving, and then now maybe Martinez as well. You don't know if he's going to stay, but Wijndal off the ball is not that level, right? So I think he's always in an attacking position, and his positional play is pretty good off the ball. So he gets a lot of he takes the ball over more on the opposition side than in the back line, always staying up front. Yeah, I'm happy. He's a good added value for us. I just want to see his off the ball work at Ajax, if that's going to be different or better in an Ajax team. But yeah, I'm excited. Good level. 5 years, Juan. I didn't expect the 5 years contract with this signing. 10 million. You would consider that somebody that's been in the Eredivisie for so long with his qualities that he might be looking for an adventure in the top leagues, right? So he also said that he loves Ajax and he wanted to play here. So I think that's the biggest reason he stayed. And yeah, I'm happy. 10 million. We're going to sell him, I hope, for big money. But let's enjoy him first. Good player. Definitely an Ajax player with his technical capabilities, 100% for sure.
Absolutely, and you're touching upon a very good point as well, because as rumors or as reports showed, there were offers, Alex. There were offers also from Napoli and Sevilla, and they were offering better salary than Ajax was. But he said he wants to play for Ajax. So what does that mean? Does it make you even happier?
Yeah, even disregarding that news about Napoli and Sevilla, I think he's a fantastic signing. I tweeted out, I think in a year from now, in hindsight, I think he could be seen as the signing of the summer. And I think a lot of Ajax fans don't hold that same opinion. As Popimento said, he does have a little bit of liability at the back. He's a left back, but I think largely he's an attacking signing in a sense. And my feeling is that this might actually make the Bergwijn transfer a little bit less necessary. I don't think it's a position that we can keep it as it is at the moment, but with Wijndal coming down the left, you could even keep Tadic over in that left wing position, but have him roam around a bit more when we have the ball in and around the box. Because Wijndal, of course, I believe it was the 1920 season, he was just fantastic at delivering those balls into Boadu when AZ could have won the league title. Regarding the move for the player, I think this is also a really good step for Wijndal, because we see that he's in contention for the Netherlands 11, maybe not quite in a position where he's fully secured that left back spot, but with Malacia potentially moving abroad as well, I think this is a good chance for him to really just hone in on his defensive capabilities. He's only 22. Pavimento said he's very experienced in the Eredivisie. This is true, but he still has a lot of potential for growth. So I'd be interested to see how he performs, especially defensively. Whether Martinez stays or not, I think that's also a big factor. But I'm really excited for this move.
Yeah. Jelen, I want to ask you something, right? Because Alex also mentioned something very interesting, and I wanted to touch upon that as well, but he already mentioned it a little bit. Some Ajax fans are questioning it, not all of them. I think majority is happy. I mean, he's one of the most exciting left backs, Dutch left backs that we have in the Eredivisie. And he can grow. The thing is, we have to realize sometimes the team that we have right now, it came from somewhere as well. When we had the 18-19 team, we thought, okay, this is going to be dismantled. We're not going to get the same team anymore. It's over. But you see now, a couple of years later, we still have a good team. Maybe not as unique, maybe as 18-19. You can debate that. But we have still a very good team. We built a very good team. And now I think a lot of Ajax fans are thinking, Gravenberch leaving, Noes leaving, Martinez might leave. I mean, we don't know, but there are two Premier League clubs we know that are battling or bidding, are going to bid for him. So he might leave as well. So a lot of Ajax fans are like, okay, we're not going to keep that standard that we had. But at the same time, I think, but maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I just want your opinion on this. Do you think it's okay, it's part of the cycle that we have? Wijndal fits this cycle. He's not a finished product, but he can get us somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I think this cycle repeats every couple of years, even every year nowadays with the market as it is. And it's happened before and we've bounced back before. So I don't really worry about that. What I do worry a little bit is what we talked about last year is that from the youth team, there were not as much as exciting prospects as we had before the exciting season you're talking about. So yeah, we have to look elsewhere, and Wijndal fits that profile perfectly for me. As you said, he's 22, but he already has a lot of experience, so it's not like putting a teenager in. I don't think he has that exceptional talent that a teenager would have to cement the first team spot, but I think he's really good to, help Ajax grow and develop further and develop himself. And I'm not seeing him staying the full 5 years. But that would mean a good deal for Ajax. So I think they did really well on the 5-year deal, especially for a player that's 22. So yeah, we repeat this cycle every other year, and every other year we hear we're not going to be as good. Look at our Champions League stage this year. It was the best in our history. So I think we'll be okay.
Pavimento, do you share the same? Do you share the same?
I'm happy with the Wijndal deal. I mean, he's a good player. You cannot deny it. So, and for 10 million, who will you buy for 10 million? I mean, even Malacia was more expensive than Wijndal. So no, it's definitely a good signing. But you also asked us, okay, will you be happy with the Ajax team? Well, as it stays like this, and I'm wearing my Martinez shirt just for a little bit of luck, But if it stays like this, we will do damage next year. But I'm telling you, if we lose Martinez and Anthony, for me, the whole excitement is gone because it will not be that good.
So look, in the event that Martinez would leave, right? I mean, again, we cannot exclude anymore. If you would have asked me this 2 weeks ago, I would say, nah, he's staying. But so many things are happening quickly now. And there are already bids, and Arsenal is going higher and higher, and Manchester United is very interested as well. So we have to see and wait how it goes. But Wijndal coming in also has consequences for Blind, I would assume. Do you guys still think Blind will play on the left back side? I don't think so. So what does it mean for Blind, Alex? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think Schroeder in his first interview mentioned that he's open to 3 positions for Blind.
Yeah.
I could see him moving into midfield. This is something that makes a lot more sense, obviously, if Martinez stays, and especially with Alvarez. I imagine that he's probably staying and keeping that 6 role. But I suppose that just leaves the center back option for Blind, which is, in my opinion, I kind of like that, because even though Wijndal's not the finished product, I think him and Blind together still makes a bit of sense. I was actually just talking on Twitter to this guy. I think his handle is Hendrik Football, and he mentioned that Wijndal with Blind is an absolute nightmare defensively. I think that's yet to be seen. But obviously, Schroeder has a lot of different things to mull over. What I like about Blind is that he does give you the option to go in the middle or out wide. But yeah, with this signing, unless Wijndal is seen as more of a, because the fee isn't that large, so you could feasibly justify only maybe 2,000 minutes for him this season, whereas Blind maybe takes over in the Champions League. But personally, I would like to see Blind more centrally, but I know people have their own reservations about that.
Do you guys have reservations about that?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's way too slow for the center back position. I could see him playing in a central defensive role, but even there, you could see that in transition, he's very vulnerable. So in the Champions League, you could see that he was caught out a lot last year as well, and the year before that. And I like the Wijndal signing because the link-up play with Tadic, or potentially Bergwijn if he could come, could be so much better because Wijndal also goes around the side and has some attacking presence, which you have not seen from Blind. Yes, on the ball, Blind is fantastic with his passes, but he doesn't provide any wing-back action, which Wijndal could. And for the center back, he's just too slow. So I can only see a 6 option for him. But we have Alvarez there. So the signing actually for Blind is bad news, in my opinion.
Let me ask you something else. All of you guys can react on this, right? Because we've talked on the channel a couple of times, and Jellen, you're saying the same thing, right? Blind individually, when you look at him individually, we know his shortcomings, right? I'm not going to repeat it again. But at the same time, in the 18-19 season, he played centrally also. However, we were able to manage around him. We could strengthen the players around him, like Frankie, like De Ligt, like Tagliafico. He basically had a shield around him defensively. If he goes, like, let's say he becomes a central defender, right? A CB, instead of Martinez on the left side. We know that I'm asking these questions, I know, so please forgive me. Don't hate me for this. But Wijndal has speed, right? So he has speed. Alvarez is a shield in the defensive midfield position, and you have Timber next to him. Wouldn't that work, in your opinion, Jelle?
It could work, but if you consider also that Wijndal is going into attacking positions a lot, so you would have a very vulnerable left side. Yes, Timber is very quick and he is good to recover, but he cannot recover the whole left side. So I think, yes, it's good to have these players around him, but I am doubting if it will be enough, because we had Tagliafico and we had De Ligt in that season, and Timber last season, of course, as well, but he was on the left side. Blind was on the left side. And in the 18-19 season, we had De Ligt there, of course, and Tagliafico, which is more of the grinta, as Papiamento said. So even if he was too late, he would make a professional foul, or he would recover defensively. And I have yet to see if Wijndal can do that as well. So yeah, it's an option, but we just have to wait and see. I think it's vulnerable.
Papiamento, go ahead. You wanted to react.
Blind is really a problem for me, and I'm gonna watch my words very carefully because it's a child of the club, and you don't want to disappoint any Ajax fans.
Okay, hold on, just a minute. Do you like him as a player? Yes or no? Let me start with that before you react, just so people know.
Yeah, I do like what he brings, but I do think also he's in a decline a little bit. So it's not the Blind that we saw in the 18-19, and it wouldn't also be fair to judge him on that Blind, because he's not that Blind anymore. And I actually, because it's very hard for me, we have an Eredivisie league that I think he will do amazing on the left back side. You know, he can easily do it in the Eredivisie, but that's not my issue. My issue is he will be exposed in the Champions League, and you cannot play somebody the whole season on that position just to take him out for the Champions League. That's not going to work, right? So you need to give him a position like next to Alvarez, because I remember the game against, I think it was Lille, Was
Yes.
it Lille? Yeah,
Yes.
where he played next to Alvarez. That worked really well. And I think that was one of the best games I've seen from him on the midfield. But you could also opt for, Blind as the backup for all three positions, just rotating him wherever you need him, coming off the bench. It wouldn't be a problem for Blind to also sometimes come off the bench, he's not the level that he was in 18-19, so we should just treat him at the level he is now.
Alex, what's your opinion on this? Because it's very interesting point, right? Look, I have question marks. I know what Popimento is saying. I know what Jelen is saying. But realistically, is Schreuder going to put one of his most experienced player and child of the club and all these kind of things? Are you going to put him on the bench?
I actually agree with Popimento largely. And this isn't just to back up my opinion that Wijndal's a great signing. I think what it's doing is forcing Schreuder to, like Poppy said, reconsider what Blind's role is in the team. And I got thinking about this because I was doing a bit of research into how many minutes is each Ajax player playing across the past few seasons. And sure enough, Blind, despite the fact that he's getting older, is continuing to be right at the top of that list. I think it was Tadic and then Blind right under him last season. So, and that is in all competitions. I don't think he can give you the 3,500 minutes that maybe Ten Hag was expecting from him anymore with that same effectiveness. So does it make sense to call him a bench player? Not really, because he offers you so much versatility and so much passing strength. But I don't know. I just, with Wijndal starting at left back most likely, and if Martinez stays, I just don't really see a starting spot. Maybe besides what you just mentioned, Poppy, that him next to Alvarez in that sort of double pivot, I could see that working effectively. The only problem there is we have too many attacking midfielders to make that work in the long term. But I could see him as a rotational figure for sure. I think he's going to be 33. Health-wise, yeah.
And Alex, when do you decide also like when it's hurting your team? Because are you going to give those minutes to a 33-year-old instead of a Kudus or a Taylor that might need those minutes to get to the level they need to get to, to be a starter at Ajax? So I don't think they will accept also staying on the bench all season and Blind playing that role on the midfield the whole season. No, I don't see that.
If you guys have to choose, right, between the three positions, the left back, the midfield, the center back position, if you have to devote one key position to him, I know he's rotational, he can play all three, but where would you rather see him from all three of you? I would like to know what would you pick if you were the coach? Ideally, he has to play.
Midfield for me then.
For me,
because I'm not going to bench Martinez and I'm not going to bench Wijndal. So.
Okay, and if Martinez is not in the picture anymore, does that change the whole answer?
No.
No.
I would rather see Blind at center back than Schreurs in the long term, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, but why are we not talking about bringing somebody else in? I mean, in general.
Maybe they are because look, if Martinez leaves, Blind can play there, but we don't really have anyone else that can take over that role, on the left side. So I agree with you. I think they will go for somebody, but if you bring somebody in, you don't have someone that's ready to go. I mean, those chances are minimum, to be honest. So Blind will start, I think, then, right?
Well, that depends on if they have anyone on the radar, because nobody was thinking that Anthony would explode the way that he did. We knew he was good, but we didn't know he was this good. I'm not expecting another Anthony signing for the center back, but even if it's like 50% being ready of what Anthony brought in his first season, why not? We have the funds, so
you mean the level of Anthony at the back, so a young player.
Yeah. I would opt for a younger player to have him, well, depending on how good he is, staying for a little while.
What would you say if we get somebody who's like, I know he's not the ideal Ajax player, but he was really good, Davinson Sanchez kind of player?
I would love that. Yeah, those kind of players. Yes. You mean not at his level now, right? At when he was first
Yeah,
transferred.
when we got him, like, he was
Yeah.
defensively, he was really like amazing. It was too
Yeah.
easy for him, basically.
Yeah, but is
Yeah,
that even
but
on the table, that option?
No. I'm just
No, no,
saying a type like
A
that
type.
because
Type.
the thing is when you scout
No, but I
someone,
mean, like, are they looking at someone?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't heard anything about that yet, so we don't know. Anyways, guys, any final thoughts on the whole Wijndal and where Blind will play, and because I have other questions to ask you as well. So here's your chance. Nothing? All right. Look, we touched upon Martinez, right? And we know, I already said that Martinez is really a hot transfer target right now. First was Timber, now it's Martinez. So, look, where do you stand on the fact that we know that they're asking 50 million? Ajax asking 50 million, right? Euros. Arsenal has gone up to 40 right now, I believe, or maybe higher, a little bit higher. Manchester United is very interested, but still a bid has to come in. If we hit that 50 million, do you agree that, that 50 million, we need to cash in on Martinez? I mean, we love him, he's good, etc. But 50 million is an offer we can refuse for a player. So where do you stand on this? Are you like, yes, we have to sell him at 50? Or are you like, no, it doesn't matter. We have funds, like you said, Jellen. We have funds available. We should focus now on, having a good season. What's your opinion? I will give it to Alex first.
So I feel like for 50 million, you don't need to necessarily accept it, but you probably should consider it. And because you have Blind at center back as an option, although I know not everyone agrees that he's an option at center back, for 50 million, you can basically get another center back and a right back, because that's a big hole. I'm of the opinion that Wrench can maybe fill that hole for now, but I don't know. If you need the money for someone to replace Mazraoui, that's really the perfect source, and especially considering Antony isn't a sure deal at this point. So I would definitely consider the 50 million.
Movimento, what do you think?
Yeah, Juan, I'm a big Martinez fan, as you know. 3 years on his contract. If you ask me, play him another year and sell him, it will not be maybe 50, it will be 40. But it's another season with Martinez, a chance to really hurt the big teams in the Champions League, because I believe with this setup and you keep Martinez and Antony, our squad is looking like we can damage some teams. So for me, just keep him another year. He will have 2 years left, and then everybody can fight it out for him. So no, I would start considering at 60.
Jellen, look, from if you compare like Martinez to Antony and Timber, right? In terms of how long are they with the club, Martinez has actually have been more playing for the first team or being with the first team than Antony and Timber. Maybe from his side, you're also hearing that he's open to going to the Premier League. So how would you react on that? I mean, what's your overall opinion? Like the question was before, but also in fact, if you take into account also that Martinez might be willing also to make a move. He's been with the club, I think, 3 years already.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what is his opinion on it, and I remember that in the beginning he didn't even play every match, and together with Alvarez, we weren't sure how good he was, and he developed amazingly and he helped the club forward a lot. So if he wants to go and the price is right, and I think 50 million is up there with a fair price, I think all things considered for both parties, if he really wants to go, it might be the best solution for both parties. It would hurt, but we don't want another Neres story where we get a very good offer and we wait for 2 years, and he might get unmotivated or have other problems and his form might dwindle. So I don't expect that from Martinez, but if he really wants to go, well, nothing is unthinkable. So he can lose his motivation. Or we've seen it with Tagliafico, when the offers don't come, they're going to play a little poorly. So yeah, if the price is right and he really wants to go, I think we should thank him for his services, even though it's going to hurt a lot.
What's your floor? Now, I want to ask this to you all as well. What's your floor in terms of how low can we go in terms of quality wise? Because let's be honest, the players that we're selling are the top quality players in our squad. And not to mention, like I said, we have Gravenberg who left, we have Noesdet left, Tagliafico, who's basically almost a first team player, is leaving, Haller left. So we are already missing quite a few first team players. And now with Martinez leaving as well, can you say, I mean, let's say Anthony's will come to you and say, I also want to leave, where do we draw a line? That's the question I want to ask you. Because the thing is also, when I asked you before on the cycle that we had, you can also argue, you know what? This is the moment to cash in. I mean, those teams are very interested in our top quality players. We can cash in crazy amounts for them. If they come with high bids, we just do it and we start over again. Or is it something you say like, no, we cannot do that because that's a very huge risk. We're going into the Champions League and you're basically just taking away all the quality of your team because you have to reset everything. So, it's one or the other, but can you find a balance? That's the question I have basically to all of you. Jelen, you could take it first.
All right. We have still 2 months in the transfer window left. So I would say that for some players like Anthony and Martinez, it might be good to have like at least a backup inside, which we think is good enough to fill the spot until they are at that level. So they have to have a baseline level. I'm not talking about, sadly, the Daramis of this world, who still need to develop a lot, or the Magallans, which have been a flop.
You totally forgot about Magallan, by the way.
Yeah, he's coming back. No joke, he's coming back.
He's training with us.
Yeah, but he wants to cement the first team spot because he thinks that Martinez is leaving and he thinks he can fill his spot. But that's on another note. I hope that doesn't happen. I think there's not much communication about which players are inside to fill these. Yes, we have Bergwijn, but I think he's a left winger. He played before on the right wing, I remember, but I think he does better on the left wing. I think we should have at least representable replacements inside before we should even think about selling everyone.
Yeah. Pavimento, your take?
Yeah, I wouldn't sell Martinez, man. And draw the line for me was already when we lost Gravenberg, Noes, and Haller. That should be sufficient now. This should be the team going forward. We should add some value to it, and that's our team to conquer this coming season.
How would you persuade Martinez to stay or Anthony to stay?
I mean, do you have to persuade him? Their contract is still 2025. Why do you have to persuade him?
Well, because as rumors go, Martinez is open to the fact he wants to go to the Premier League, and Anthony's agents, I don't know if Anthony also feels that way, but perhaps 80 million, which is going and sitting around, might be a little bit too excessive. They're saying that's not a fair price for him. So
yeah, but that's 80 million because they don't want to sell him, right? So it has to be an excessive price.
True, but
they don't want to sell him.
But if they're countering back, it means that they want something to happen, right?
Yeah. For me, it's like pay that excessive amount or get the hell out, but leave our players alone. And no, we are a selling club, but that doesn't mean we should just ignore all the ambition and goals we have for the season. So I don't agree that everything is up for sale. And I want a quality team next season, and we also have to consider the World Cup, as every club needs to do that. We also always see drops in the form during the season. It cost us last season already. So why make the same mistake? And you're not gonna buy a Martinez same level. It's gonna take a while. You're gonna do some mistakes, transfer targets like Magallan. That will happen. I'm sure of it. Not everything is gonna be 100. So trust me, Martinez and Anthony are not as easily replaceable as all the fans seem to think. And 50 million, yeah. I mean, I would rather keep him and sell him 40 million next season. Another year, Martinez. I would love that, man.
That's it. Alex, your take. Are you more on Jelen's side, more on Puppy's side, or do you have your own side?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because when you talk about transfer activity balance at Ajax, you're not just talking about being a selling club. You're also talking about being a development club. So the youth players, I think, are a huge factor in this. And I mean, the more I think about it, I know I said I would consider a 50 million bid for Martinez. I would still prefer not to. Like Poppy said, you still potentially get that money down the line, but also consider that we don't really have a youth prospect in defense like we do in attack. And I'll include Ihatar in there for, as a youth prospect, even though he's proven himself in the Eredivisie. You have Ihatar on the right, you have potentially Univar, and then Van Axel Dongen is maybe a left winger. Rasmussen could even play up top or on the right. So with Anthony, I think there's maybe more wiggle room than fans think. Of course, he's one of our top performers. You don't want to sell him. But I don't know. On the balance of things, if United bid 80 million, I don't see why you don't at least heavily consider it. I mean, and I know I sound like I'm saying sell both Martinez and Anthony. No, I think it's one or the other. You can't go into next season having sold them plus the 3 players we've already mentioned. But I don't think you necessarily rule it out either. So if you can use 80 million to get Bergwijn, bring him in, bring in Brobbey, guarantee that move, and then add another defender, I think you're still in a pretty decent position if you keep Timber, you keep Martinez. I don't know. I'm a bit more flexible, I think, than a couple of you guys.
So let me end this video by asking you guys a final question, right? And I want the viewers also to comment, on the YouTube section. I really want to know if you guys were talking to Huntelaar Hamstra, our director of football, and you guys had a say, right? What would you guys tell them? What would you guys say? Okay, for me, these are the targets. You guys have to really consider this for me in terms of the positions that need strengthening. And maybe also what you guys said, like don't sell Martinez or Anthony, or just sell Anthony but not Martinez. So Alex, you take it away. Jellen, you can go after, but Mendo can finish this one. I'm very curious to hear what you guys have to say about that. So you're knocking on the door. Hamstra is inviting you in. Huntelaar brought you the coffee. You're sitting down. Let's go.
Yeah, this won't come as a surprise given what I've already said, but I think right back is probably, now that Wijndal's in, right back is a priority. I know a lot of people thought right back was more of a priority than the left side, but I disagree. I think that getting Wijndal in was probably the most important out of the two. So I think a right back is probably needed. Maybe not someone of the utmost quality, someone who allows Wrench to compete for minutes. Of course, if Martinez leaves, it has to be a center back. I don't think Magajan-Schur's duo is really in the cards for Schreuder. Hopefully, we'll see. And then, in midfield, I don't think you need much. With Kudus, Klaas, and Bergwijn, you have a lot of options. And I think maybe you go for another attacker besides Bergwijn, but I don't see the need to bring in a backup to Brobbey, assuming Brobbey's in. I don't see the need for another striker. I think Rasmussen could play, 500, 1,000 minutes in the Eredivisie this season if he's up to scratch. So, I think defense is really the big focus for me.
So basically what you're saying, just to summarize quickly, Brobbey, Bergwijn, we haven't signed him officially yet. So, Wijndal is already in, so that's fine. That was, for you, very important. Right back is a target for you. And the center back position, the left side where Martinez plays, only if Martinez leaves, correct?
Yeah, I think even if Martinez stays, it's probably good to bring in someone. I don't know. Do you guys see Schurz staying another season just to play on the bench? I'm not sure. Maybe there's not the depth.
Just before we went into the recording, actually, there was a Dutch newspaper, Parool, who quoted the agent of Schurz, and Ajax doesn't want to let him go because, I think we mentioned this before, Schurz's stance is he wants to play more minutes. He wants to get at his stage of his career, he wants to play more. And he's demanding it a little bit, of course. He talked to Schreuder, and Schreuder told him, I don't want you to leave. And there are a lot of clubs interested in Schurz. So if Schreuder talked to him and they're telling him you're not, we're not going to let you leave, surely he will get some minutes this season, more than previous season, right?
Yeah, we're considering Timber and Martinez next to each other, but Schreuder might be considering Schuurs and Martinez next to each other and Timber on the right back. We don't know, man.
That's true.
That's the crazy thing. Timber can play both positions, and we don't have a good right back. And maybe if they don't buy, they're considering Timber as the right back. So he's not the right, because I think centrally he's better, Timber, than right back. So I will definitely agree with Alex there that we need a backup. But it all depends on the ambition you show. Like if I'm there with Huntelaar, that hates me already because he knows my opinion about him, and Hamstra. I mean, I would tell him, just set your best and final for Martinez and Anthony, and be like, okay, guys, if you guys don't meet this price, don't come talk to me. And for Martinez, it's 60. For Anthony, it's 80. And don't sell if it's below that, because I want a quality team. And if you keep those two, then yeah, sure, go for a right back. If you sell those two, then give the wrench the time to develop, because you'll know this season will have its ups and downs, and I'm not sure we can damage in the Champions League.
All right, you already actually gave an answer. So basically, mostly you're the same as what Alex said. Jelle, do you have any other opinion about this, or are you basically the same?
Some other opinions, I think. I think Rensch is not good enough. What he showed as a substitute last year was actually horrible for me, for my standards. So I don't think that's an option unless he makes a really big jump this season. So we need a right back. I think Timber plays best as center back, and we should keep him there. So yeah, the position of right back is really really a big hole we need to fill. And I'm really wondering that as a club like Ajax, everybody in the world saw our Champions League matches in our stage. Yes, we screwed up against Benfica, which we never should have lost. But before that, those 6 matches were seen by players all over the world. You're not going to tell me we can't attract players that can be first team ready with the club and the status that we have. So I refuse to believe that we need to change around players in the team like a puzzle. I think we should be more proud of Ajax as a club and just tell that to players and show that we are also willing to spend like we did on Anthony. But I think that should be possible. And another position we haven't talked about is a box-to-box kind of player like Gravenberch, because I think if we have Alvarez and then we have Klaassen, Berghuis, Kudus, those are all up front, and Alvarez is really as a CDM. So I think we need a carrying player, carries the ball, box-to-box player. So I haven't heard anyone talk about that, like a player who can go up and down the pitch the whole match.
Don't you have faith in Taylor?
I think it's still too early. I saw some good things of him, but I think we should really consider that he's not up to first team, a 3,500 minutes player yet. So I think it would also be good to at least look at that and see if there's possibilities out there. It's not a must like the right back, but it would be nice to at least consider it. And yeah, if Anthony is being sold, I would say get top dollar, 80 million. I think it's possible that they will pay that. Stranger things have happened.